Governor Huckabee, so wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, LaToya. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
The pleasure's all mine. Now, I've got to know, why do you want this job?
There are days I ask myself that too, LaToya.
I'm sure.
But I want to restore America back to the place where every little kid growing up in this country looks forward to what's ahead and believes that there's an optimistic reason to think that America's greatest days are still out front, not behind. And I think that takes leadership. It takes somebody who not only personally believes it, but somebody who has lived it and who can communicate and articulate it to this country and who can take on issues and bring some practical solutions to the things that really matter to the everyday American.
Now let's talk about you. Who is Governor Mike Huckabee?
I am 10 and a half years as a governor, but really who I am is a person who grew up in a small town in a working class family where we barely had enough money to pay the rent. I come from a family where I'm the first male in my entire family lineage to even graduate high school.
Wow.
I've lived the American dream. When people talk about what a great country this is, I can tell you, I know it is. Because when I grew up, in fact, so close to the railroad track that literally I could throw a rock and hit the tracks from my door. So I mean, I understand what it's like to grow up in humble circumstances. Not the poorest kid in town, but I also knew that because of the opportunity to get a decent education and work hard, that I didn't have to end where I started. And my parents encouraged me to do well in school. They wanted me to do better than them.
Okay.
And you know, I look around and I'll ask this question sometimes. How many of you are living better today than you ever imagined you would be when you were a little kid?
Sure.
And almost every hand in the room goes up. But here's what worries me. If I say, how many of you think your children and grandchildren will be living better than you? Often nobody's hand goes up. That's what we have to fix in this country.
Let's talk a little bit about immigration, because that appears to be the #2 issue right behind the Iraq war currently.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the current immigration bill, and how do you think that's going to impact our national security?
Most Americans just don't have much credibility or much belief in the credibility of Congress right now. And I think that's hurting their ability to bring a bill that we're going to support. But what's really problematic about the current bill is that it essentially gives status to illegal people and then says, now, if you do a few things, then you can take the path of citizenship. What it should say is, if you do some things very seriously, then we may give you status. So the status first, to most Americans, seems like an amnesty program. That failed when it was presented back in 1986, and I think most Americans say, if you don't secure the border, then don't even talk to us about immigration reform. There's no reform without a secure border. When you and I go to the airport, we have to show our photo ID.
That's right.
We have to put our shoes in the little plastic tub and take our toothpaste and put it in the plastic bag, and we have to go through and show them boarding passes and let them x-ray us and check us out real carefully. We're citizens.
Sure.
We're citizens, and we have to go through that. Are you telling me that a person coming from another country crossing an international border shouldn't have to cross through a barrier of security and prove who they are? I think Americans are saying, if I have to do that at the airport, and I don't mind,
That's right.
don't tell me that somebody can just swim, jump, or run across our international borders, and we don't even know who they are, where they are, or what they're going to do when they get here.
Now let's talk about also jobs and how the current bill will impact jobs for tax-paying Americans currently who might be able to fill those jobs.
Well, again, Americans are concerned. They see their jobs leaving for China. They see people coming here to take them.
Yeah.
And you know, most Americans, they're not selfish. They're not unwilling to let people come and share the American dream. But they don't want that American dream to be something that others achieve that's taken away from them who have paid the taxes to be able to provide it for their families.